Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It appears that it might be working. Loading. Oh, we have movement.
We're live.
Oh.
We're doing it. We're live right now.
Oh.
We're out here. Salt of the Streets pre-show episode 96 live
Looking
stream.
good with the stash.
Thank you. Look at the happiness. Oh, I love it. That's hilarious.
Oh,
We're
that's
happy.
great.
Come on.
What happened?
Okay,
Yeah.
so-
come on, Yodi. Quit yelling at us.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us who's here. Again, we are happy to have you. We're happy to have this going. Colin, congratulations. There
Dude, we
it
made
is,
it.
buddy.
We
There it is.
made it happen somehow.
We're out here again. Thank you for joining us. It's the third time. It's going to be a great episode today. We are going to talk about a lot of fun and amazing topics.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because there's one, giant elephant in the room about what's going to happen the day after the episode comes out on Monday.
Yes.
So we'll probably talk about that a little bit.
Yes.
And if you don't know what we're talking about yet, we're talking about the fall of the vote 2020 election and all that fun stuff. We're gonna look at that. You have been tuning into the tech giant Senate hearing.
Yes.
How much of that have you caught? I haven't
I watched
been able to do
all
much.
of it.
So you can fill me and the viewers in a little bit on what's popping with that, perhaps.
Yes, I figured we would talk a little bit about that here in the pre-show.
Word.
Project Veritas put out some new videos this week, so we're going to talk about those a little bit. We're going to talk, like you said, about polls, some predictions we're going to do. So we're going to take a look at, we talked about this a couple weeks ago, polls and how much credence to give them. What do we really need to consider? How much do we need to consider them? And so we kind of have decided that it's like a tool. You obviously can't believe them 100% because they all say different things, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
But we've also
And I have
seen them.
all of them up.
We've also seen them just all be extremely wrong in the past. So, excuse me. So we're going to go over as many polls as we can find, and then we are going to kind of talk about them, what they mean, and then we're going to give our own predictions for what we think is going to happen this election, which starts on Tuesday. But we will likely not find out the victor for several days afterwards. I'm going to say like a week, probably. Everybody who's asked me, like, what do you think? I'm like, I think that everything will be cool for like up until 10 days. Like if things start to go past 10 days, somebody's going to say something stupid, and then people who believe them are going to do stupid shit. And they talked about that in the tech hearings of like, what would you do if somebody says that they've won the election or they whatever, and Mark Zuckerberg was like, oh well, we would tag it with an article that says fact check, like the
Facebook fact checkers.
the election results are not officially in yet, this is incorrect. So the Democratic senators are like, you would
arbiters
not
of
remove
truth.
this content immediately? And he's like, no, I'm not. No, I'm just gonna put some in there that says that this is bullshit.
It's like, no, if I did that, then 230 would come down on my ass
it
like
was very
nobody's
interesting.
business.
Yeah, it was very interesting. So we will talk about the tech hearings. Deepwater Horizon. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
Deepwater Horizon.
Yeah, that's a. I was going to move on.
That's
to
a
another,
movie.
Yes. What were you going to say? I heard the.
Oh, I was going to say that the vote count as of right now.
Yes.
I think Shapiro talked about it, commentary talked about it. We are over, I think it was like 70 some odd thousand votes that were in or something like that already.
Early voting.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
we were essentially at, and I don't remember the number, but we were essentially at over half of the total votes counted in the 2016 election already. And we're
Yes.
not even to election day.
There has been an insane amount of voter
Weird.
turnout. Record voter turnout.
Maybe.
Supposedly.
What
Allegedly.
if,
I'm just
what if
kidding.
we get to like Tuesday and 90% of the
nobody
votes
shows up
already in
'cause
and
they already
10% shows up?
There is,
But we'll never know.
potentially
We'll never know.
all the people who were going to vote anyway, like got nervous from COVID or whatever, and then voted early, provided the opportunity, voted in the mail, provided the opportunity, and then did that. So there's potential for that. I also
70 million. That's the number I was looking for. It's over 70 million.
I also think that we've seen more advertisement for voting this election cycle than any other one in the past. I know that you've noticed every time you go on any social media, the first thing that pops up right at the top is, are you registered to vote? Have you voted
Have you
yet?
done it?
Have you
Did you
voted
sign
yet?
up
Do you
yet?
still have your ballot? Is it in your house? Have
Why
you
is
put
it not in the mailbox?
Yeah. And then I mean commercials
The naked
from...
celebrity thing.
Exactly.
Oh my
exactly.
God.
The naked celebrities,
Did you catch Bridget Fettis's
NFL,
little
all that
thing
shit.
about that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, she made like a spoof of it.
Oh, really?
And sat there naked on her couch with pillow and stuff, and then her and her dumpster fire crew were like making this audition tape, and she like starts off by saying all the right stuff, and then she goes into like, you know, she just goes off on tangents. I don't want to fill it in too much. It's only like a few minutes, and it's definitely worth watching because it's
She's
fucking
funny.
hilarious.
I've watched 2 episodes of Dumpster Fire now. Big fan.
They're pretty great.
Big fan of Dumpster Fire.
It's like a nice reprieve for guys like us, I think, because she taps all the right veins that we usually tap.
Right.
Except it's lighthearted for the most part. You know?
And she discusses it with. She knows what she's talking about, but also just makes fun of everybody. It's good. It's a good time. Dumpster Fire. Check it out.
Deepwater Horizon.
Deepwater Horizon, yes. So I want to talk about this because Alex Jones was on Joe Rogan earlier this week, and he talked about Deepwater Horizon and oil and shit like that. Did you watch Deepwater Horizon? It's okay if you didn't.
I didn't.
Okay, so Deepwater Horizon, do you know what it's about?
Marky Mark.
Yes.
It's about the actual event Deepwater Horizon.
Right, so Deepwater Horizon is like the rig or the structure, if you will, right?
The oil rig that was down in the Gulf that had the crack or some fault at the bottom.
So this is what happened. Alex Jones totally... he recommended it because it's historically accurate, and it's totally accurate. They decided to save money by not doing a test that they should have done and pumping water down into this instead of mud or concrete like they should have. And so then when they went to test it, the concrete wasn't good because they weren't doing it good enough. And so then everything fucking exploded, right? Okay, so as I'm watching this...
We're sorry.
I think they... Yes. So as I'm watching this, I think there was like 36 people. I know, and I may be completely incorrect. I believe that's what they said. 36 people that worked on there, right? Bunch of people died.
Oh, yeah.
Most of them got out safe, but a bunch of people died. A bunch of people got really fucked up, burned alive, all kinds of shit, right? So we're watching this. Also, 230 million gallons of oil that were dumped straight into the ocean because it took them like 87 days to figure it out.
I remember that shit.
Apparently, allegedly, Jordan's great second cousin. No, great cousin. With her
that's on
her
a whole
grandma's
other pay grade,
cousin.
dude.
Anyway, one of her older cousins supposedly, allegedly worked on the plugging of that hole.
Oh, that's dope.
And so the family story goes, when it was plugged, he emailed everybody in the family at the same time and said, got it. But nobody knew what he was talking about, you know? They knew that he was down there working on that, but wasn't sure what he was talking about. And then on the news later that night, they fucking plugged the hole. And so then exactly.
Got it.
Yes. Okay, so as I'm watching this, right? Crazy action movie, really good movie.
No,
but as
real
I'm
high
watching,
budget and stuff.
super high budget. I gotta mention.
I mean, gotta have Marky Mark.
Absolutely. If you got Marky Mark, it's got to be high budget. And also, John Malkovich is in that movie. And there's another famous dude. I can't...
Oh,
Burt,
you know what? We
something?
have
We
Burt,
have the internet.
Burt Reynolds?
No, not Burt Reynolds. All I can think is Burt Kreischer, and that's not it.
No.
It's definitely not it.
Although I did watch the show, The Cabin.
I've never watched that, but our neighbors really enjoy.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a huge Burt guy, but
Right.
it's fucking great.
I've never really fucked with any of their stuff.
Fucking Caitlyn Jenner's on one of the episodes.
Really?
Yep.
Is that it super interesting?
Super interesting.
I wonder. I would love to have her on the show.
Oh, word.
Caitlyn Jenner. To
just
have an hour.
chop it up.
You know? Yeah. Like, okay, let's talk about this.
Kurt Russell.
What
did I say?
That's
Burt
I was
Reynolds.
saying Burt,
Yeah.
and it's Kurt Russell. That's what
Holy
it is. Yeah. Yes. It's star-studded cast, right? Okay, so as I'm watching this, 230 million gallons of oil, it's just straight into the ocean from the it's like 2.5 miles down that they're drilling this hole, right?
Oh yeah. Devastated the entire Gulf seafood industry for generation.
As I watch this entire movie, people are dying. This shit's burning. Oil just squirting, just burning in the air, right? I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. I'm like, the oil industry as a whole, I'm like, I understand like money, and I'm like, but this
what are we
does
doing?
not make sense. Like, you're telling me that one mistake, 230 million gallons of oil just into the ocean, ecosystems destroyed for decades, people fucking dead for fucking. I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. This no longer makes sense to me that we are investing this much money in oil when one mistake kills, I think like 13 people died. Because someone decided that they wanted to make, I think,
Because was this BP?
yes.
Yeah.
I think Alex Jones said it was $25 million a day, they say, by doing this. And it was 5 days that they pump water down there. These may be totally incorrect numbers. But if that's what it is, right? Let's just use that number. $125 million. 13 people, 230 million gallons of oil. All those people, all those animals, all that shit for $125 million. Come
Well,
on,
when
my
you
G.
put it like that.
Like, what the fuck? It doesn't make sense to me. I understand the jobs. I understand the money. I understand how, like, the structure we have constructed around the oil industry. But it no longer makes sense to me. Fully understanding, even just seeing a movie representation of that mistake, that horrible incident.
Yeah.
And they're like, but we got to do it more.
We got to do it more.
I'm like, I don't think that that's what we should be doing. That does not. What's your take on this?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's just.
That's a pretty general idea to throw out there for you, but.
Yeah, right. What do you think about the oil industry?
Oil, Colin. Oil.
No, let's take it on its, in the event, not the event horizon, the Deepwater horizon. That specific, like the actual oil rig,
Yes.
ocean, drilling and stuff like that.
Free floating
Yeah.
oil rig structure that they had out there.
Which, when you think about the logistics to actually make that work,
What the fuck?
the fact that it's even possible and we haven't completely turned the entire ocean black with oil is kind of surprising.
Yeah, because
Right.
they have the fucking drill, just like I said, like 2.5 miles down. That's just suspended there, and they're like, oh, we got to try and cut the line, and they couldn't cut the line. The blades they used just were destroyed by the pressure that was flowing through the oil.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, word. Like, don't worry about it. Don't need to worry because we can just cut the line.
Yeah,
no
it's
matter
fine.
what happens.
No big deal.
It's just,
oops, never mind. No, we
seems
can't.
absurd to me.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of it. I mean, I like the idea if you could do it. Let's just put it this way. If there was like a deep underwater facility, like in the movie Sphere,
Yeah.
where like there was a habitat down there and there's like a little mini city and then the rig is inside of it on quote unquote dry land within this thing and then you're drilling, like I want that.
Yeah.
That seems cool because then I can also go down and live under like the water and that's whatever. But I'm real hesitant on it. I'm real hesitant on the concept of how this stuff works.
Yeah.
And I'm no scientist, and I'm not a structural engineer of that caliber, obviously, but it just doesn't seem like a real good idea.
No.
If there's other ways, fracking has really helped with that. I will say that much. But I'm also really against. They're trying to get that pebble mine up in Alaska going.
Yeah.
And I don't want any of that. Just get off the oil tit, man. Come on.
It's the same thing, like even with a ground deposit of oil. If something happens and it starts to just fucking flow, there's nothing that can be done about it.
It's coming from the fucking earth, man.
If the earth opens up, right, because you drill, you hit a spot, and the earth cracks like it does, a fucking earthquake, like it does, right? A tectonic plate shifts, and then that whole oil deposit just opens the fuck up, and it starts to just fucking burst from the ground. There's nothing you can do about it. I just don't. And I no longer understand the oil industry. I no longer can stand behind it. I'm not like, turn it over right now.
Green New Deal. Dawn's for the Green New Deal.
The idea that we're not investing like all of the dollars in figuring out how to not have to use oil anymore seems really absurd to me. I did also think it was very interesting, Alex Jones, when he was talking about carbon emissions, all of the stuff that he said, right? He was talking about, and I need a scientist to explain this to me to tell me whether or not it's true, but he was talking about how electric cars produce more carbon emissions than a regular car because of the amount of electricity they're consuming from your home that's likely coming from natural gas or from some shit like that. Coal, oil, some shit like that.
The amount of carbon that it takes to make the batteries and the storage facilities, and then not only that, but you're talking about, lithium mining, and
it's kind of genius. Like they're like, we're gonna save the planet,
but
by getting this electric car. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just keep
because if you're talking about legit, full-on carbon footprint, I would like to see the comparison.
I'm interested
because I bet you long term it works out, but
Homework for one of the listeners. Do the
Boom.
research. Send me the documents. I can't wait to have enough people that are going to be like, I really want to know this.
Exactly.
And 900 people send me a document.
There it is.
They're like, oh, I just had a second, so I decided that I would just fucking, shoot this out to you like I've done to all of these other podcasters. I'm like, oh, I'll just tweet it real quick. I can find it. Like, I don't, yeah.
Like we have one of those guys for economics. We got local celebrity
Yeah.
Larry Dixon, obviously.
Yeah.
Zeke is our foreign affairs official. Obviously, he takes care of that.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say when talking about the overall carbon footprint and stuff again.
Yes.
Like you got to factor in like everything on the car.
All the things.
All the things. It's not just the fuel that it burns.
Right.
That's not it. I mean, it's all everything that goes into the battery and the factories and everything, and all that has a carbon footprint too.
Bless you, Chloe.
If you're really concerned about carbon footprint, it's not so much. It's really short-minded to be focusing just on the fuel source.
Yeah.
Because now you have a different fuel source, the lithium-ion battery, which again takes carbon to make, and it involves a whole nother mining operation that is not as surgical, if you will, as oil.
Or as ethically legitimate most of the time.
Because they're not necessarily.
Who mines lithium?
Yeah.
You tell me.
Lithium mines aren't necessarily
You tell me.
abundant in freedom-loving republics.
That's probably the best way to put
We'll
that.
probably just say that.
And this is going to be a shift in topic, but I have to mention it just before I forget. The mustache. It's here this month. We've talked about it because, thank you.
Beautiful
It's here
stash.
this month. I appreciate that. I've been very self-conscious about it up to the last week or so, when I've been like, no, I think that it's really it's
coming into itself.
Jordan told me she thinks she might prefer it over no mustache, which makes me feel kind of weird. Yeah.
Tom Selleck status.
She's hated it every year before this.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So Mario for Halloween. I'll post some pictures of that. Dax came into my work yesterday dressed as little Mario. It was fucking so
My heart is
cute.
breaking.
Yeah. So tomorrow we're gonna do that. So we'll have some pictures of that. But after Halloween, this does turn into Movember. We are doing this again this year. It is happening. I'm gonna go onto the Movember app right fucking now.
Right meow.
And we're gonna see what it has to. I have to re-download it, but it's here. It's re-downloaded right now. It's on my home screen still.
Does your phone automatically undownload apps that you don't use for a while?
Not automatically, but I started to run out of room on my phone because it's now time for me to upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I went to go open up an app I haven't used in over a year, I think, the other
Yeah.
day, and I had to re-download it. And I was like, I never got rid of it. Because as soon as I can get rid of an app, I get rid of the shortcut on my phone too.
Right.
Like it just stays gone.
or else it has the little cloud with the
Yeah.
thing next to it, which is
And so it was super weird.
stupid.
Half of them just dipped. So I must have some kind of setting on or
I
something.
bet you started to run out of room on
Mm-hmm.
your phone.
There was something else that we were going to watch over the last 2 weeks. Oh, I can't remember what it was. But I was trying to convince you to watch Event Horizon.
Horizon.
Yeah, it's a good scary movie.
Yeah.
Great film.
Where will you fundraise? Don't
Where will you fundraise?
worry about it.
On the internet,
Yeah,
aka
right
the
here.
world. You're
Okay.
a fundraiser from the world.
Yep, I'm signed up. We're done. Not now. Thank you. Okay, so we're signed up. I'm gonna post that come Monday,
Monday,
Sunday.
Sunday.
Sunday will be the first. Will be the first day of November, which will
yeah,
be the first
yep.
day of Movember.
Whoop, whoop.
In the past, I'm trying to find out. I thought that it would show me how much money I've done.
Oh, from
all
previous
time.
years?
Yeah, and I'm sure
It
that
doesn't?
It will.
I bet you
Sure
it does,
will
like on the
go.
interwebs,
Yeah, somewhere.
the full website or whatever.
Anyway,
Yeah, because
doesn't matter.
you raked in a ton of dough last
I've
year.
done a pretty fair amount before. I think that I'm just over $1,000 combined. This is just showing me all the individual donations, not. Anyway, it doesn't
Healthy
matter.
donations
I'm going
last
on.
year.
Yes, the point is,
It's Movember.
I do Movember. Yes, not for me, not for Colin, but for all the men, because it's a really simple thing that I can do to help raise money for men's health, because it's something that happens just fucking constantly. With this says male suicide 25%. Oh, they're looking to drop it. Anyway, I'm not going to read this, but this is about men's health, testicular cancer, prostate cancer, any type of cancer that only dudes can get, because we deserve a little bit of time too,
We
regardless
do.
of what any of the critical theories or anything would like any of us to believe.
All the critical theory.
Men do deserve some focus, because there are some things that only men can do, just like there are some things that only women can do.
Fucking sexist pig.
We're out here. We're doing it. First day on YouTube, we're going hard. Let's get banned first day out of the gate.
Boom!
So
No, never mind.
anyway,
I'm
the
not
point
even
is not
gonna
to
say
be
that much.
the point is not to be divisive. The point is that everybody knows a man in their life who has the potential to be impacted by one of these things, and something as simple as growing your mustache or donating a little bit of money can help go to a good cause to help try and make sure that nobody else has to have their testicles removed or their prostate removed or any
Yeah.
of that shit, because the complications that come with removing part of your sex organs are something that nobody, I think, ever really wants to deal with. I don't even know anybody personally that has like ever had prostate cancer or testicular cancer. This was like just a thing that I did it even the year before we started doing the podcast. This was previous podcast. I don't remember why I started doing it, but this
I don't know if I've personally ever known anybody either.
No.
I've heard about a lot of people, like
apparently it's common
family,
as fuck.
like acquaintances or something
Yeah.
like that. People that we've known, and it's really common the older you get, and obviously, as you get older and stuff like that, you're much greater risk for cancers, and then in men, particularly prostate cancer, and it being particularly lethal,
Right.
for a lot of men.
Especially because a lot of dudes like won't go in and get it checked. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know
Like, I'm
what
not
you're
gonna
talking
have a
about.
dude put his finger up my ass. Like, I'm not doing that.
I
Like-
never have to have a full-on fight with Carolina just for me to go to the doctor, because I will refuse to go until I'm basically dying.
Yeah.
And then she doesn't like to sit there and watch me waste away.
Yeah.
I bring the Latino out.
Ah, there you go.
Oh yeah,
It's a time and a place, and that's definitely the time and place.
Oh yeah, you seen the Modern Family before?
Yes.
Sofia Vergara.
Full
When
on.
she gets real mad,
Yeah.
that's what happens. That's what happens. That's
Like,
a
I'm not
Spanish.
sure what you're saying right now, but the last thing you said was hospital, so let's go.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's go.
I'll get in the car. You can drive. We'll just go wherever. So, yeah. So I bring that up just so everybody knows that this will
Yep.
be here at least through November, potentially after that, because I'm not mad at it.
No, it's good looking. Lip caterpillar.
I told Jordan that in the past I've trimmed it because I didn't like that it was bushy, you know. But then it doesn't
Oh, you
look
gotta
good.
get the bushy, bro.
Exactly. So
Don't be
yeah.
afraid of the push broom.
After embracing the mustache, I think it looks all right. So,
And I will just say this, not to
Yes.
feed your ego or anything,
no.
but a
Hype
lot
me
of
up, fam.
dudes don't look good in a straight stash anymore.
I have talked nothing but shit about a solo stash
Solo
up
stash.
until now. Up until I had one, I've been like, a solo stash doesn't look good. Nobody looks good in a solo stash. I hate it. That's part of why I hate it. It doesn't look good. And then I'm like, no, I fuck with it. Because I
dude.
can't grow a beard. I don't have the ability. It's
You
not
can't grow a
there.
beard?
No, I can get a goatee that doesn't connect with my mustache. It might. Actually, I might be able to get it. This goes down far enough that I might be able to get it to connect. But that'll have to be an experiment for January.
I'm going to show you and the viewers my favorite solo stash on the market.
Is it Burt Reynolds?
It is not Burt Reynolds.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
So
The
all the
Sam
viewers
Elliott.
can see. That's Mr. Sam Elliott right there.
Look at that.
The great, the powerful. And look at that stash. It is beautiful.
It even changes shape some,
yeah, you know.
depending on the roll. If it needs
Yeah.
to be a little more country, it goes up to the nose.
Oh, yeah.
That's I've definitely started to take notice as to the different ways that people style their facial hair. You
Oh,
know,
yeah?
The tiny nuances of just little things that they decide to leave out. It's very interesting.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Big fan. I think the last thing that I wanted to bring up on the pre-show, Project Veritas.
Yes.
Their new investigation that they released this week, I think we're going to talk about probably more on the show, and we can flesh it out now, right? Was very interesting because they exposed a woman, Raquel something, in Texas, right, who is apparently a Republican consultant.
Yeah.
But so this was what was confusing to me, is that she's a Republican consulting for someone in one district who's going to other districts to make them vote Democrat, but then also positively influence them in the direction of her Republican candidate so they can tell their friends in the neighboring district to vote for the Republican candidate. It took till the third video till I actually understood what the poll was. And I'm like, they have to have fucked something up because she's telling these people to vote Democrat, but it says that she's a Republican consultant. I'm like, so I don't understand. Yes. And it wasn't until, like I said, like the third video where she explained, like, oh, I'm giving these people gifts and shit. And so that they'll tell their friends, oh, look at this really nice thing that was, she called him Motto. Yeah, that Motto gave me. Like, so I can't vote for him, but you should vote for him. People trying to get their friends to vote for this guy because they don't have the ability to.
And is this the same video series where they're essentially sitting there talking about buying and selling votes and voters? And
Yes. So there's, okay, so let me be more clear. There are back-to-back ones, right?
Okay.
Not the first investigation, but the last investigation was where the guy in Minnesota was rolling around with ballots in his car.
Yep.
So this is a new one that they're releasing, of a woman in Texas.
Yes.
This is in Texas. And which is concerning. We've talked about mail-in voting ever since it got brought up. We live in Washington. We've lived here pretty much our entire lives. You lived in New York. Did you vote with a Washington ballot when you were in New York? You had one mailed to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
good old-fashioned absentee.
Yeah. So it's troubling to me because I have confidence in our election integrity in this state. I've never really had a reason to doubt it. But seeing
Until
this
now.
type of stuff makes me it's very concerning, I still am not like, we can't trust the fucking election. Like, I don't feel that way, especially because most of this shit seems to be smaller scale elections, not the presidential election. They're local elections, which still very much matters that it's happening, but it's not
more so even, some
right.
might say.
But it doesn't have the national effect like the Republicans are like talking about.
It's like this year we've had a lot over the last few months, a lot of talk about voter fraud and stuff like that, and generally voter fraud happens
right
a lot.
It does
every
happen for
single
sure.
time there's a vote. The only difference is it's generally happened in small pockets all throughout the country in different areas, and nobody will ever truly know the actual effect of what happens to those races at the end of the day. But like on a national level and stuff, at a broad scale, large scale, at scale, it's nothing that will really affect the national election, at least.
Right.
You would have to do that on such a insane level. Like, you remember those pictures? Some fucking actress. She took a picture of like a flatbed truck down in California, and it was hauling off to
like all the
mailboxes or something like that. It was like, oh yeah, they're stealing the vote. They're taking all the mailboxes away so that nobody can do mail-in voting. This was back when Democrats were super, super, super on mail-in voting.
Yeah.
Not, I saw it was like Nancy Pelosi, I think, today tweeted out like, oh yeah, vote early, but doesn't mean you have to vote by mail. But
right, because now it's like too late. I've seen that too. People, people I know that are like,
Friday, Saturday,
just
Sunday.
go and drop it off at the box. Don't mail it because then it won't count. It says on your ballot if it's postmarked by election day, they're going to count it. So what the fuck are you talking about? It's not going to count if it doesn't get there. It says on the fucking ballot.
Sometimes there are time limits, like at 8 p.m.
Right.
There's always a cutoff or whatever it is.
But it says that on there.
Oh yeah.
It's like I turned my ballot in last week, so I don't have it. But it says on there it needs to be postmarked by this date. Yeah. I mean, it has to be postmarked by election day. So if you turn it in, it's got to be turned in by a certain time to the post office, or they won't postmark it. So I know. Yeah, it says on there.
It says on there. Just give me a moment.
Don't you make me look like a fool, Colin.
No, it's on here. There's just a lot on here.
I'm just kidding.
Remember that whole, read your ballot and stuff very, very thoroughly type of thing?
So while you're looking for that.
It's in there.
Yeah. So the thing that I thought was interesting is this woman in Texas was talking about individual dollar amounts that she's charging per vote. And she's getting X amount of dollars per month on the side, cash, you know what I'm saying, under the table.
So many dollars.
She's charging like $5,000, $7,000 a month for consulting, plus $8, $6 a vote. These are examples she was using.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't, you know what I'm saying? But go and watch the videos. I'm not saying that it's the truth. We've talked about Veritas, many times we've been asked about Veritas. Many people at this point, I don't have a reason to doubt the truth or the veracity of their claims. I don't have any reason to do that. With the amount of lawsuits they're continually winning and the amount of retractions they're continually forcing in other newspapers and other publications, I don't have any reason to believe that this is untrue. And now that they're going out in public, like people are asking them to do, talk to people. He looks like an asshole, but he always looks like an asshole. That's what everybody's always talking about. James O'Keefe is an asshole. He's a fucking dickhead. Whatever. Maybe he is, but he is exposing horrible things happening in this country that need to be fixed. And I've seen a lot of conversation comparing this to like gerrymandering. You know, like, oh well, the Supreme Court said gerrymandering was okay, so blah blah blah. There is a difference between whether or not you agree with that interpretation of the Constitution, saying this is an inherently political process, and so people of different political persuasions affecting this is natural to this process, and people getting paid to harvest ballots and affect changes in other people's voting patterns, those are completely two different things. Do you know what I'm saying?
They're totally different. These are,
and that was very wordy, so I'm sorry if it was, like, I'm sure.
Essentially, you're talking about the difference between the governmental bodies redrawing voting districts.
Right.
Whether, not arguing to the validity of how they're doing that, but that is a governmental body that is doing that.
Because that was
compared to essentially private citizens that work in the private sector committing election fraud.
And that's because that's what the argument was when last year, there was a big gerrymandering case that came up. And the ruling on it was like, it's not illegal because this is an inherently political process. It makes sense that you would want to be electing people who lean in your political persuasion so that they would be trying to do everything they can to gain political influence. That
Which
makes
is why
sense.
those districts continually
It's
morph
dark
and change.
Nobody really likes it, but there's a lot of things about this country that nobody is really a fan of, but that's the way it was designed, and in the end it's probably for the better, right? There's a difference between that and, like you said, a private citizen who is being paid in the private sector to procure votes and make people shift the way that they're voting. I mean, she's legitimately clarifying a woman's vote, asking her, like, helping her change her vote and shit. They're fucking pulling up the statutes on the screen there. And I know, again, I can't, I've not verified them. I've not, copy and pasted those statutes to ensure that they are what they are. But again, I don't, it would be really weird for Project Veritas, for any news publication to make up a statute and assume that nobody's ever going to look it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And
so,
given James O'Keefe's recent track record at this point, like, I can't not take it seriously.
They're on, bro.
They've been on point for a while.
Veritas is on.
I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't on point originally. It was just I didn't understand them as much now. And, a lot of people do think James O'Keefe is kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Because, but I have a theory about that's like kind of it goes along with like the great man theory in history. Like there's, if you were to take all the great men in history and line them up, how many of them would you classify as like good men? Right. Not many, but like to do what James O'Keefe does every day, day in and day out, where your entire life is spent open to basically, I mean, he's been in jail before. Right. Like he's gone how many you live in a perpetual state of lawsuit. People are always suing you, or you are suing somebody. It takes a certain level of egotistical belief in yourself. Yeah. Confidence that errs on the side of arrogance, yeah, to actually like get done what he's been doing. Yeah. If he wasn't that guy, Project Veritas wouldn't be around.
Well, and I gotta imagine he's super jaded. Super jaded by the whole process, the whole system, of reporting. They even had a video that they released along with this investigation of their reporting being picked up by like regular media, like on the news in Texas. They're like, Project Veritas reporting potential, election fraud, and I'm like, holy balls, is this really happening?
You made it, baby.
Oh my god. Yeah. So So it's very interesting. Definitely worth a look for anybody watching, anybody who watches this. I would definitely suggest going to Project Veritas. Their YouTube page is the easiest way to find their videos, and just look at the different investigations that they've done. You can ask all of the questions that you want. I mean, James O'Keefe was just on Tim Pool's podcast, Timcast IRL,
Yep.
like 2 weeks ago.
That was really good.
It was good, and that's when I watched it. I was like, he is an asshole.
Yep.
Like, he is definitely an asshole. But
But it's also
I don't
okay.
blame him for that. I don't.
Yeah.
I recognize that that's like probably who he has to be.
Yeah.
To exist confidently and comfortably in the world.
Conscious or
So-
unconsciously. Like, if that's just who he is every day, which I would probably assume,
And
then because otherwise he wouldn't have it within him to do the thing that he's doing.
right.
I just
And
don't
that's-
think anyone else could do that. Any other character type, I should
Right.
say. I don't think could do that.
And that's like Glenn Greenwald. Not that he's
Oh,
an
yeah.
asshole, but like just coping with him. He is. He's. I
Depends
think
on who
he's
he's
kind of an
talking to.
arrogant too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Again, you'd have to though.
right.
If you're gonna be the dude that's got stones large enough to drop
Right.
all the Snowden shit.
Right. He was talking about, being in the grocery store with like 18 flash drives full of stolen CIA documents, like while all that's happening,
In Brazil.
Like, bro,
Terrifying.
that's crazy.
It is so insane.
Yeah, and now that his husband is a representative,
Yeah.
he was like 2 years, he said, I think, that they haven't gone anywhere without armed guards and like
Yeah.
armored cars and shit. And he's just like, yeah, that's all right. This is just, I got my 25 dogs and,
Yep.
I got all my shit and
Just
I'm cool.
chilling.
Just dropping mad documents from fucking Brazil. Dude, it's...
Wild.
You were right. We talked about spirit animals. That was the answer I came up with not long before you sent that to me. Just...
Because I was just watching it, I was like, and we had asked, I don't know why I had asked that. I don't think it was like, because I was watching Alex Jones
Yeah.
when that had happened. And I was like, something about, they were talking about spirit animals or something. I was like, fuck, man, I wish Alex Jones was my spirit animal. The dude is just wild and gives no fucks about anything.
He's crazy.
And I was like, you got to think about that. And then the next day, I was listening to that thing. I was like, oh, it's definitely Glenn.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Not only, his unending commitment to like, no, that's just not right. You know? And that's, I've followed him ever since Snowden. He's probably the only reporter that I could name from the time I was 16. Like, probably the only one from that time on, that I was like, oh, Glenn Greenwald. I've been tapped in the whole time.
Yep.
And, he's consistently writing about things that don't particularly fit his political purview. He's like, he's almost kind of progressive. Like, he's definitely left-leaning. It's,
if...
But it's not like a dangerous mindset. He's the co-founder of The Intercept, so
he's
he's the
no
co-founder
longer there anymore.
Right, but...
he had to fucking resign from his own thing.
The shit's too crazy.
But
But he definitely is a left-leaning individual,
Hard,
not far left, nothing crazy, but definitely.
Well, I don't know. Like he's real socialisty,
Yeah.
which is why he. That's also, I think, why he loves.
Yeah, but he's not advocating for the, bringing down the American government or
No.
anything, and that's really what I'm.
Yeah.
He's not like we need pivotal shifts in the way that America conducts itself. He seemed to be very much of the mindset that the people in America need to figure their
Yes.
shit out, and it will
not
be
like
much
the
better.
current progressive wave.
Right? No,
This is more of like America. You should want this.
that, and then his growth from just straight blogger to The Guardian, Edward Snowden, starting a news company, being like, peace out, I'm just going to do my own thing and be able to sustain myself, and it's going to be just fine. Like, that's the dream right there, that he's...
That is 1,000% the dream.
Yeah, the way that he's reporting is not only so uncommon, but so sought after that he's able to fund himself, similar to Matt Taibbi.
Yeah.
Like, he's not with the Rolling Stone or anything anymore. He just has...
Yeah, because he dipped.
He just has a subscription service that you can pay like $5 a month or whatever, and you get all of his writing. They were talking about it. Timcast was talking about it. I don't remember what the website was that he was talking about, but that he has a subscription service that you get access to his writing through, that I believe Glenn Greenwald does the exact same thing.
Substack.
Yes.
For Glenn Greenwald, I think.
And I think that it's the same for Matt Taibbi. And I think that that's pretty fucking cool.
Hard, yeah. I wonder, because there's been a string, like you said, of like these, I don't know,
would
I
imagine.
want to call them like real journalists, you know,
Right.
that like have seen what has happened to all these institutions.
Because
and
even Barry
and bailed.
Weiss. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was going to see, because I think Barry Weiss, she just might essentially be freelance right now.
Yeah.
Right, and kind of like Bridget Fetisi does. She writes
Right.
all freelance because she
Just for
mentions a lot of
anyone.
things. She may have an article in Variety or something like that. But
Wouldn't it be funny if she had an article in the New York Times? Like if they bought an article from her.
they would never do that, though. She is persona non grata.
But wouldn't it be funny?
The Schadenfreude there would be overflowing. I'd
Yeah.
be so happy. So happy. And she'd be sitting back like, yeah, that's right, pay me, motherfuckers.
With that, I think we could probably get out of here as far as the pre-show goes. Get into
Word.
the real show. I'm not sure how long.
It's been
this has
a minute,
happening.
39 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's
let's
that's
wrap-
perfect.
let's wrap it up
Yeah,
there.
That's like about perfect. So, thank you everyone for joining us, for watching this. This has been our very first, well, technically our second. The first one was
Yeah,
very
right.
brief, but live stream pre-show. I think those were the only things that I wanted to mention. As far as I told you on the way here, I was like, "Oh, you got to make sure that you fucking do this," and like an asshole, I didn't.
It'll make a good Instagram post later on at some point.
Movember. This is our YouTube. Fuck Facebook, but facebook.com/Salt of the Streets. We have our own personal social media. I am at Salt of the Street on Twitter and at Salt of the Streets on Parlor. I've used it like
yeah.
3 times. I don't really like it that much.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
trying
like
to
that
use
they
it more so to like grow on me.
Yeah, and I
Right.
don't like that they like subscribe you to everybody that you follow. You know, so you start to get notifications. I'm like, I don't give a shit about that. I want to read in my feed. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway, go
And
ahead.
I'm at Big Bird Offie on that as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. So Colin's at Big
Word.
Bird
I had
Offie on
to
all
check.
those things. I'm at Alpaca_Donovan on Instagram. I think that's it. New episode
Yep.
on Monday.
You're
Videos
watching
throughout the
us on
week,
YouTube.
Clippies. Yeah. Happy Halloween, everybody. In the coming weeks, we will have some announcements on what we're going to do for, episode 100. We got
Yeah.
it figured out. And just kidding. We totally have it.
We have
all-
an epic
yeah,
plan.
Yeah, no, we definitely know exactly what we're doing. So, yeah,
Yep.
we'll see you
I was
later.
definitely not counting out the weeks to find out exactly which weekend it's supposed
It's
to be on.
supposed to be like New Year's Eve or like the week of Christmas or something.
Which I think would just make a really fun time to make
Yeah.
any kind of podcast.
Yes.
Then we could save it, and we'll start our very own version of the Christmas specials, just like on Tell 'em Steve Dave.
There you go.
Boom.
Tell 'em Steve, Christmas specials are my favorite. Oh, that's the last thing.
There it is.
Sunday Jeff. No, that wasn't it, but
Oh,
now that you've
Sunday
brought
Jeff.
up, yeah. Sunday Jeff, the Sunday Jeff show, the all new Sunday Jeff show. They did their Halloween thing. You ever watch King of Queens?
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently there is an episode of King of Queens where Kevin James frosts a couch pillow to look like a cake.
Of course he does.
Are you familiar with this episode?
I am not.
No, okay. So they did a Halloween episode on the all-new Sunday Jeff show. Sunday Jeff was dressed up like Batman. Brian Johnson was Jack Nicholson from Here's Johnny, The Shining.
The Shining.
Yes. And then Brian Quinn was the White Baron. That is just way too long of a story to explain on here. No, that's
Brian
Walt
Quinn,
Flanagan.
that's Walt.
Walt Flanagan was dressed up as Tom Brady, and then Get Him, they had...
Fucking
and
Walt.
it was really funny, and then Get Him, they had dressed up as Elvira. It was great. So they answered a bunch of Halloween trivia to get, like, cake decorating supplies, and then at the end it was whoever made the best cake, but only the
cool.
the two top point earners got cakes. The third person had a couch pillow that they had to decorate. That was apparently referenced to this episode of King of Queens.
I believe
And
it.
they played this scene from King of Queens like 90 times during the episode. It was so fucking funny. It was great. Huge fan. Shout out to Tell 'em Steve Dave. They are consistently making content that I am an enormous fan of, and now they're on Patreon and they're supporting themselves. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. I only knew like one person who's ever listened to Tell 'em Steve Dave, and it's that new Dan at work. He's like the only person I've ever met that's
so
like, oh, I know
random,
exactly what
too.
that is.
So random.
Yes, it's so fucking random. So, if anybody who's watching this has ever listened to Tell 'em Steve Dave,
Get on it.
give me the clickety-clackities. Let me know. That's it. That's the last thing. This is the end of the pre-show. Thank you.
Boom.
Everybody, happy Halloween.
Bye.
November. Peace out.
And